discussion is United Nations declared 2020 and to 2030 as the decade of action. It comes in at a time where the world is locked down and we're experiencing a pandemic across the globe. India going forward with such a phenomenal transition is a step that's commendable, and it's worth all the applauds that it is gathering. The kind of attention NEP has gathered, because it has come after 34 years of the previous policy that was in action. So my focus would be like uh, the decade of action, like it says, that we're looking to provide sustainable solutions to world's biggest challenges. As an educator, and with all the little experience that I have gathered in my life, I believe education is the answer to every challenge that is out there in the world. It could range from poverty to terrorism to gender disparity. So I would want to share my views on that aspect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neha ji, and uh, that makes you one of the very important key participants for this session, because you've come with a new age perspective, so that would be very valuable. So we'll come back to you with your main thoughts.
Thank you very much, sir.
Right. Now I would request Dr. Preeti Rishi, if we can have your opening remark, ma'am.
Yes, good afternoon to everyone. And first of all, I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity once again to be part of this panel with so many experienced people. So in each session, we are here to say something, but we definitely learn a lot of things whenever we are participating in this kind of sessions. So today, I will be talking about the challenges of the national education policy, that what all challenges we are having for implementing, the criticism, what all criticism it has got, and what is the way forward for it. So I will be discussing all these points in my presentation. So as we know, there are a lot of challenges ahead in implementing the education policy, like the curriculum and the content, teacher availability, training, technology, examination structure, and what way we can probably take to make the best out of this and give the future generations a better education and better opportunities. So that is what I'm going to talk about today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rishi. We'll come back to you. With this, now I would request Mr. Adnan, if we can have your opening remarks, sir.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I represent Furtado School of Music. We are really excited to see the inclusion of vocational subjects in the upcoming policy, and I think it's a giant step towards the holistic development of a child. And this will definitely push students to think creatively and to think critically as well. The most interesting part about this policy is the integration of arts and music into the mainstream academics, which will ensure that students are exposed to these forms of arts on a day-to-day basis. So I'm definitely sure that this is going to help all the students, and we look forward to welcome this policy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adnan. So with this, we come to the main part of our session. Uh, in fact, during last 62 sessions, we have learned from eminent speakers and educators that many of the points which are there in the policy, they are already being executed in good schools, primarily metro cities and other urban part of the country. So the biggest challenge would be for the village schools or budget schools. You know, so also almost everyone have lauded the policy. Everyone has shown a great hope with the policy, but almost everyone believes that execution is going to be the key. How we execute this policy, that would certainly determine how, what kind of fruits we are going to achieve down the 10 15 years down the line. So with this thought, I would request our key speakers, Anil Goyal sir, if we can begin with you, if we can have your main talk, What are your thoughts? You have also worked with corporate. How do you see the education, after the implementation of a national education policy, the key changes you perceive, 10, 15 years down the line? Anil Goyal, sir, over to you. Anilji, am I audible?
Hello,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you're audible now.
hello.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes, yes,
Right. Over to you, sir. Over
hello.
to you. Your thoughts.
Yes, yes. After the implementation of this new education policy, the government is planning that uh, they should focus more on skill-based education, and they don't want that this dropout. Want that the dropout ratio should down, and hence they are planning in such a way that after plus 2, if a student has joined college, he or she can left the college after 1 year or 2 year or 3 years, or maybe after the completion of the degree after the 4 years. This type of facility will be there for the students, because if say they will left the college after 1 year, they will receive the certificate program, and suppose they leave the college after second year, they will receive the diploma. And in this way, more practical options will be there in front of the students. If they want to, if they are not in a position to complete their degree, means they are not able to complete the degree in 3 years because of some personal problems or the family circumstances or whatever maybe this be the position, they can get the certificate or the diploma, which will be useful for them for getting employment opportunities, for different type of employment opportunities which will be available for the students. And this education will be made skill based as per the new education policy, because practical approach will be there. The traditional way of learning which we are having these days will be changed. Yeah. Over to you, Mr. Raju. Hello. Over to you, Mr. Raju.
Right. So now I would request Neha ji, if we can have your main talk.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think, am I allowed to present a screen?
Yes, yes,
I
you can
had
do
a
that.
presentation
Yes,
ready.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
you can do that.
Thank you so much. Just in a second, I'll put it on. Yeah, right. I wanted to bring in a global outlook to what we could be looking at in our education policy, the way it has been restructured in this decade. So, a little bit of background here. We're an emerging economy. India no longer is a developing economy with all the interest we have garnered from all across the globe, all the major players from across the globe coming here and investing in India. It's a it's a a big opportunity for us to leap into all of these opportunities and maybe project ourselves as the next global leader. The world is looking at Asia and India in particular. I'm sharing a little fact here. Last year, the results came out in February. There was a publication from Times Group. India has about 11 institutions that ranked among the top 100 institutions across the globe. That says quite a lot about the quality of education that at least a part of our education system is providing. We have also been established as a guru when it comes to inner knowledge, when we talk about yoga, when we talk about meditation, when we talk about finding our own paths. We have been that one place where everybody wants to come down and understand books, like the monk who sold his Ferrari. They talk about their experiences in India. So I think this is the right time for India to establish itself not just as a preacher of the age old wisdom. It is also a time that we move forward and take center stage in terms of academic success and reaching out to people globally using our own local knowledge. When our president, honorable president of India, when he was talking about NEP, he said the vision of NEP, I'm just reading off the screen here, is to implement an equitable, please mark the words here, an equitable and vibrant knowledge society by providing quality education that meets the requirement of the 21st century. In a minute, I'll circle back and I'll talk about these things. Moving forward, also talked about excellence in inclusion and envisioning an India-centered education system that contributes directly to transforming India into a global superpower. So we're talking about equitable. We're talking about giving an equal opportunity to all the people involved, be it the stakeholders, be it the sole focus of education, that is our children. And we're also focusing not on knowledge, we're not focusing on society, we're combined the two words. We're focusing on knowledge society. Knowledge society, in my understanding here, means creating a society that is bound by knowledge, that has very robust systems of interacting with each other and passing down knowledge from all possible corners. And we have also shifted the focus. This is for the first time that we're talking about inclusion in education. We have been talking about gross enrollment ratios. We've been talking about dropout rates. But this is for the first time that this has been specifically addressed in a central document, in the main document, that we'll be creating opportunities for not just children who come from families that are dedicated to the cause of education, but also we're talking about gender disparities. We're also talking about addressing disparities that come from socioeconomic statuses and disability. That comes in as a brilliant move by the government, adding in the clause for disabilities and actually creating national level bodies to ensure that there is a funding specifically dedicated to the cause of children with disabilities. I would also want to talk here about inclusion extending to children on the other side of the spectrum of intelligence, the gifted ones. We're also talking about creating an infrastructure that caters to specially abled and gifted students to give them some sort of additional support, some sort of additional guidance wherein they can forward their own education and learning in a way that is slightly more customized to their personality and their gifts in terms of intelligence and in terms of being prodigies. Uh, Another brilliant thing that I'm personally moved by is making it India centered. We're not talking, see, it is a very known fact and a very well known criticism that education system in India for ages has been something that the British started to sort of train clerks for their own East India Company and later on the British Empire. This is for the first time we're verbally talking about an India-centric approach, where at a point when we're giving a lot of importance to what is local, we're creating a core system, a core curriculum that NCERT will be doing it. That is the directives given. They'll also be allowed to tailor it to states, to the local flavor, to add little a bit here and there of their geography and the histories and bringing in the culture. I think that beautifully celebrates the diversity this country has. And I would want to go to the next slide here. Sustainable development goals. Uh, Ever since they were launched, the 17 sustainable goals, every country, and especially ours, we have been very, very focused as to how to meet all of these goals. The goal 4, as everybody knows, is about quality education. I would simply want to address what each of the sub goals holds for us. The goal 4.2 talks about equal access to quality pre-primary education. How are we aiming to focus this in our new education policies? That we're giving for the first time special attention to the 3 to 6 year olds. That would, in my understanding, need call for a revision for the right to education. Earlier, we were focusing the Right to Education Act for children's aged between 6 to 14. Now, the new education policy talks about including students from age 3 to 18. The importance laid to pre-primary education by ways of giving special care, revamping our ECCE systems at that age, when the majority of the formative development, the brain development, the cognitive development of the child happens, is where our focus is. We're also, like I just said in the previous slide, we're also focusing on gender inclusion. There is actually a gender inclusion fund that would be created to allow for kids from all genders to come in and not let gender remain a disparity alone. And there is a huge support coming in for disability schooling as well. Currently, majority of our students who are disabled, they are enrolled in the national open system. They do not come to a regular schooling because of the lack of support, the lack of teachers, the lack of infrastructure. But with the funding coming in, I think that is going to be a dream realized, whereas we'll be able to bridge the gap and ensure that a lot of our children come into the mainstream via education and then maybe later on with employment also, hopefully. Talking about sustainable development goal 4, it reads equal access to affordable technical and vocational education. So a brilliant move again here is that vocational education will now be integrated with our normal education at a very young age. There are talks of starting or having an option of learning coding right from class 6, and otherwise also integrating a year of vocational education in the years 6 to 8 and then making it a mandatory feature in the senior classes. For sustainable development goal 4, there would be an increase in the number of people with relevant skill for financial success. So here we're talking about multiple exit points when children will go in for their higher education. And also there'll be an option, like Anilji said, there'll be an option for multidisciplinary studies at the 9 to 12 learning stage. So that opens doors for so many career options, which normally were not mainstreamed and were were not a choice for children because there was no vocational training available in a formal setup. That is going to be resolved here. And with the academic credit bank transfer being into place in the higher education, then again it provides for a more flexible and a more child-centric customized learning experience. And of course, the higher gross enrollment ratio of increasing it by 50% in the next 15 years. It's a very ambitious goal, but let's hope we'll be able to touch upon that. with the Sustainable Development Goal 5, again coming from equal access, we're talking about gender disparity, socioeconomic statuses. See, this is the beauty of it, how they've actually weaved the entire thing to address challenges that come in at every stage. And when you've solved majority of the problems in education, I believe you can go forward and change the entire society. And then the last one of it, talking about Sustainable Development Goal 4.6, India had taken the PISA test for English literacy, basic English and maths comprehension in 2009 and performed miserably. We all know what the results were. As a country, we're hoping to um take this test again in 2021, the next year, and we're hoping for a better performance this time. And it is amazing that they have actually included provisions to up our numeracy and literacy in the formative years. And there are uh, because it has been mentioned, I am hoping that it will be tested using the new report card that will be created for everybody to follow. Just a few points that I find very exciting in the new education policy is that we are celebrating the local to the level that it can lead to global competencies. Because NCRT will be creating a core curriculum wherein the states can add their own little flavor and materials to their relevant to their cultures and geographies and the histories and even literature. I think that will give a chance for everybody in India to, because we're not one race, we're just one nation, but we are a very diverse country. So that gives everybody an acknowledgement, that also brings in a very strong sense of identity. And I think it translates well into being a very productive member of the society later on. The mother tongue advantage. It is actually a known fact that majority of the learning as it is happens in the regional language, in one of the 22 scheduled languages, and even out of that 49% of the learning for majority of the schools across the country happens in um, Hindi. It is only about 17% of total schools in the country that use English as a medium of instruction. Having said that, I think specifically addressing this issue in a document, something that is as important as the national education policy, it takes away the burden of learning English, and the disadvantage, the perceived disadvantage that we feel that not learning English language comes in with. uh, Opening doors to the regional language and formally recognizing the 22 scheduled languages as the medium of instruction, which already is a fact, comes in as a very powerful and empowering move for children on multiple levels. First of all, it is a known fact that when children learn in their own mother tongue, the learning happens at a deeper level, it is quicker, and it stays on for a longer period of time. And then once you've mastered a language, learning another language, because the language schemas are already there in your brain, it happens faster. So as an Indian, any which way, if we've learned English, we have at least the advantage of two languages. And bringing in the flavor of the regional languages, for example, we will be opening doors to multilingualism. So, and having advantage of learning in so many languages, again, it makes us culturally diverse, it makes the overall experience of a person, it makes the overall learning, experiential learning that we give to our children more holistic, and also makes the child a very culturally sensitive to what our local systems are, vis-a-vis just focusing on the popular culture. And then again, there'll be an introduction to the computational skills. Also for language, I'm reminded of a fact suddenly. There was this lady, Nidhi Gupta. She's a senior product manager with Google. She said Hindi is is the second most used languages among the internet users across all the Google platforms. And within the next 5 years, it is going to take over English as the most used language. So that itself establishes a ground for why Hindi and other regional languages, specifically in India, need to be promoted at school level. I am all in for it. And then talking about computational skills, integrating coding and other computational skills at a lower level, at a lower learning level of children, is going to be a brilliant move, because going forward, the world is going global, and with the pandemic, we have witnessed that schools are going online, and there was a slight hiccup, but we did. Adapt to it. Children adapted faster than the adults did, than the teachers and the parents did. So, actually empowering them with something that is going to be the future of the world, it really makes sense. And then, how can we miss out 21st century skills? Everyone's talking about them. So, the 5 skills that I feel NIP has integrated beautifully all across, right from the pre-primary to the higher and education, and also ongoing adult lifelong education, are collaboration. And then there's focus on communication, creativity, and of course critical thinking, and like here, computational skills. uh, we will surpass China very soon as the largest, most populated country in the world, and we are any which way the largest democracy in the world. So this is the time when we can reap the demographic dividend. The sheer number of people, the sheer human resource that we have here needs a very, very robust education system. And I see national education policy, even with all its criticisms, as a stepping stone, because we've been able to build up over all the learnings that we have had in the past, in the last 34 years, right from Kothari Commission to this Kasturi Ranganathan Commission, and now the national education policy coming in action. And I'm sure there is room for a lot of improvement, but this is definitely a very strong foundation that we've built upon, because we're focusing on all these things. I think I've already overshot my time limit. I will not go into these things because I've sort of discussed them already. And I would want to then end with my presentation with this quote that was passed on to from my father to me. This is the mission that I've been following, and I believe as teachers, there is something similar that we all follow. Beautiful lines by Robert Frost: woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. So, thank you so much as a fellow educator to everybody else out there. Let's nurture our students. Let's believe in what is best for them, and let's garner all our strength as Indians to become the global leaders. I truly believe in that cause. Thank you so much for having the patience to listen to me. That is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Neha ji, for sharing your assessment and your reading of NEP in this detailed manner. Big thanks. And certainly we have miles to go before we start expecting the real fruits of NEP. And you rightly said that NEP has a potential, to convert, to create that holistic environment which we all have been, aiming for decades. And also, this was a new fact that Hindi is second most used language. So it was new, I believe, to all of us. So big thanks for sharing all these details. We'll come back to you with questions, ma'am. Now, with this, I would request Dr. Preeti Rishi. Dr. Rishi, as you know, both the educators, Anil ji and Neha ji, have talked about that this NEP offers a lot of flexibility to certainly, it brings our focus more on skill based education. And so I would request if you can share, you represent that higher education world. So, Dr. Preeti Rishi, if we can have your ideas and thoughts on NEP.
Yes, sir. Actually, I have two presentations. One is which is giving all the initiatives that have been taken in the school and higher education sector. But in last sessions, mostly it used to get covered before my turn came. So this time I have made another presentation which is dealing with the challenges, criticism, and way ahead. So which one do you want me to take up?
It's up to you, ma'am. It's up to you, like which one you
Okay.
want us to tell and want us to know. And second, like I would just request, please just understand the time limit. It's a 10-minute, 8 to 10 minute time limit, so that
Yes.
we have sufficient time in the end for the questions. So
Okay.
please take 8 to 10 minutes only. Thank you.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am. Your screen is visible.
So, I will be talking about the challenges and the general criticism, which is not my personal views, but generally what people are criticizing and what is the way forward. So, I am from SRM University, which is located in Sonipat, Haryana, and we are a multidisciplinary university which is offering a number of courses. And we are even the first university to have academic affiliate with IET. And now I come to the education policy basic change what we have seen here, that is transforming curricular and pedagogical structure. So existing academic structure was 2 years for age 16 to 18 and 10 years for 6 to 16. So this new policy, it proposes that foundation years, they are starting from 3 years to 6 years, which is in Anganwadi preschool, and 2 years class 1 and 2, that is age 6 to 8. Then 3 years from age 8 to 11, another 3 years from class 6 to 8, age 11 to 14, and then the 4 years, which is secondary education, which is from age 14 to 18 years. So this new pedagogical structure, it is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. So this is one of the major changes which has been there in this policy. And also, if we look at the spending from the government side on education, so as you can see in this table, in 1968 we were spending 1.82% of our GDP on education. Then from 85 to 86 we were spending about 3.71%, and currently we are spending 4.46. So proposed structure is to spend 6% or more of GDP on education. So these are the timelines for implementation of NEP. So 21-22, it is proposed to make the national curriculum framework for teacher education and formulation of national curricular framework for school education. So, in this time phased manner, it is expected by 2040 that policy is fully operational following this comprehensive review. And I will not read each of the timelines because of constraint of time. So, I will be coming to the challenges in implementing the national education policy. National Education Policy 2020 is aimed at transforming India's education system into a modern, progressive, and equitable one. The new policy focuses on improving poor literacy and numeracy outcomes associated with the primary schools, reducing dropout levels in the middle and secondary schools, and introducing the multidisciplinary approach in the higher education system. Besides, the policy also lays emphasis on early childhood education, restructuring curriculum and pedagogy, reforming the examination process, and investing in the teacher training. Although the NEP 2020 aims to bring a holistic change in education system of India, there are substantial changes, both quantitative and qualitative, in implementing the reforms. So, the challenges identified by me are under these four headings. First is the curriculum and content, then teacher availability and training, technology and examination structure. So I will be talking about each of these. So, if we talk about curriculum and content, the NEP seeks to introduce a shift from the 10 plus 2 structure to 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 structure, where early childhood education will be part of the formal education. In addition, the NEP 2020 focuses on reducing the curriculum content to make space for critical thinking and in turn develop individuals with the 21st century skills instilled in them. Hence, all aspects of the curriculum and pedagogy need to be restructured to attain these goals. So, this is one big challenge. The challenge in successfully implementing these changes include modifying the curriculum in accordance with the National Curriculum Framework. Also, educators need to rethink the learning content rubric and modify the textbooks accordingly. Another challenge is teacher availability and training. The policy envisages the redesign of the school curriculum. However, in order to deliver the curriculum effectively, schools and concerned authorities need to train teachers and understand the pedagogical needs to make a smooth transition to the new education system. Furthermore, they need to shift the focus from teacher centered learning to student centered learning to foster collaborative skills, critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making abilities. So, a study suggests that over 250 million students are estimated to enroll in the K 12, that is kindergarten to 10 plus 2 schools in India by 2030. So, by 2030, over 250 million students will be enrolled. This means that we need nearly 7 million more teachers to handle this huge student population. Since teaching is one of the low paid professions in India, experimental learning and concept oriented teaching will be a challenging task. Until the teacher remuneration is revised, the implementation of NEP 2020 will be quite challenging. Another challenge is the use of technology. NEP 2020 lays emphasis on leveraging the advantage of technology in making the youth future ready. But developing digital infrastructure such as digital classrooms, remote expertise driven teaching model, that augmented reality and virtual reality tools to bridge gaps in physical teaching and laboratory infrastructure is a great challenge because the majority of schools don't have a proper setup to support these tools. Also, the cost associated with building this infrastructure might not be affordable for all schools across the country. Moreover, in rural areas of the country where internet connectivity is nearly absent, deploying digital learning tools is out of question. Hence, the government should work on improving the basic infrastructure that will support the digital infrastructure in all areas. Another challenge that we face is the examination structure. The NEP focuses on formative assessment for learning rather than summative assessment. The primary purpose of changing the assessment system is to promote continuous tracking of learning outcomes. However, continuous assessment requires schools and teachers to use innovative evaluation approaches and assignments. These approaches demand technological intervention and active involvement of teachers and students. According to a study of about 1.5 million schools in India, 75% are run by the government. Of the remaining private schools, nearly 80% schools are budget private schools. So, hence, deploying a continuous assessment framework is a challenging task in these schools. Thus, the government needs to have a systematic phased approach to successfully implement this and provide quality education to all students. So, we must overcome all the execution challenges in a sustained manner for able to implement this policy. Next, I will be quickly going through some criticisms which NEP faced. So, one of the criticism was that it was introduced without proper discussion and without including the view of all the people in the parliament. Another criticism is that it fails to be inclusive of the bottommost strata of society and provides little or no relief to the poor, women and caste, and religious minorities, and it glosses over key concerns of access to education which have long prevailed. There is no comprehensive roadmap and coherent implementation strategy in place to execute this grand vision. Many milestones and a commitment to finances necessary to execute this plan aren't clearly defined. Take, for example, the line the center and the states will work together to increase the public investment in education sector to 6% of the GDP at the earliest. So there is no clear commitment that can hold the government accountable. Another criticism is that of the three language formula. Though the policy does not compel this provision, it is crafted in a manner that leaves little choice and flexibility with the students, teachers, or schools. It is also in direct contravention with the Supreme Court judgment. The way this is laid out is bound to bring mind the anti-Hindi agitation of 1965 against the central government's intention to make Hindi an official language. So, another criticism is the NEP is silent on the RTE Act, and universalization of education will not be achieved without legal backing. There is no mechanism to link primary and secondary education with the RTE. This is not binding on the center state legally, as the RTE Forum said in a statement. The final policy talks about the universalization of school education from 3 to 18 years without making it a legal right. Hence, there is no mandatory mechanism for the union and state government to make it a reality. So, quickly, I will go through some more criticism that there is no commitment towards affirmative action on for the socially and economically disadvantaged people. And higher educational institutions providing a much broader scope is a move towards a monolithic, homogenized, and centralized education system. So NEP overall tilts towards centralization, possibly because the policy is not derivative of consulting with the states and repeatedly talks about fragmentation in higher education. So there has been some case related to this. Somebody has filed a case also, they have cited that. And paving the way for increased privatization. So they are also criticizing that it is paving way for increased privatization. So what is the way forward? So NEP 2020 must consider linking the RTE to the goal of universalization of education at pre-primary, middle and secondary level. Without this legal backing, NEP 2020's target will remain unmet. It must devise a collaborative strategy with states over the three language formula, as education is a concurrent subject. It must make specific time bound, measurable commitments linked with the accountability about funding and expenditure with regard to the grand vision. It has to keep children and parents at the center of implementation plans and provide choice, not just in letter, but also in spirit. The policy must also incorporate the common school system, which will ensure equal opportunities for all. Currently, a robust framework of foundation learning has been laid out, but merits of evaluation are missing in the document. It has to devise a parallel strategy relying on non-technical interventions by leveraging existing network of school leaders, social enterprises, and educators. So that is all from my side.
Thank you, Dr. Rishi, for sharing. The areas where we need to be more cautious. So big thanks, and I also welcome Nirmal Yadav, ma'am, Principal Director with the CCA School, Gurgaon. Welcome, Nirmal, ma'am, and thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, Raju.
Your presence is a big blessing to us, and this is our 63rd session. So big thanks once again. With this, now I would request Mr. Adnan Khan. Adnan, if we can have your ideas and perspective. Adnan, am I audible to you? Yeah. You need to unmute yourself, Adnan.
Hi, yes. Am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible, sir.
Hello. Okay.
Yes,
Thank
you're
you
audible.
so much, Raju. I really really enjoyed the session by Neha ma'am and Preeti ma'am. I really like your presentation. You explained it. Tad, I would like to share an article which I read few days back. So basically, this is about four aspirants from a medical college who took their lives due to the fear of failure. And this was just 2 3 days before their NEET examination, which really led me to think that the real pandemic in India is not COVID. I think it's the suicide, which is caused mainly by anxiety, depression, stress, and of course the fear. And in order to become a developed country, I think we need more happy people in this society. We need more happy musicians, and definitely not unhappy doctors. And in the end, we all want our students to be happy. We want them to be happy in schools, we want them to be happy in homes. So I think that this policy will really help students manage their academic burden, because there'll be no pressure of board examinations, and students can choose the courses of their choice. If they want to study mathematics, if they want to study pole science, or music, I mean, they can choose any of the subjects they like. And as I mentioned earlier, that this will definitely enable them to think creatively and critically, and of course to it will help them to gain the hands-on experience as well, which will definitely make them a global leaders. Um, as as you all know that music is known to be a universal stress buster, and not just music but any forms of art have a similar impact on a child's brain, and I'm sure that everyone will agree to that. And schools, a lot of schools have taken some initiatives in this space to overcome this, and I'm sure that a lot of tier 1 schools are actually doing a lot of efforts to promote vocational subjects. But what we have realized that there's a lack of a structured approach and a curriculum. There's a lack of trained resources to teach music or any forms of art. So, for example, if I ask A.R. Rahmanji or Asha Bhosle ji to teach music, so I don't think so that they might be able to do that, because they are a good performer and they are a good composer. But there's a difference between a performer and a teacher, because teaching a subject, especially music or painting or dance, I think it takes altogether a different skill set. You can't expect anyone to teach these forms of subjects. And we usually confuse that. We think that if someone can draw, then they can teach drawing as well. If someone can play music, then they can teach as well. So I think this is something which I feel personally. And we at Furtado School of Music, we understand this gap, and with the vision of providing quality music education in schools. We started this venture in 2010, and giving you a brief perspective about the brand. Furtado's is a 154-year-old organization, and we are the largest importers of instruments in India. We have a retail presence across all the states, and then of course we run our music schools, wherein students come and they learn music, and then we have a very beautiful in-school music program, wherein we set up all the instrument labs. We provide a highly trained teachers as well, and of course a very structured curriculum as well. Some of the schools we are working with, we are almost working with 200 schools across India and teaching more than 80,000 students. Some of the schools I think you can see on the screens: Billabong High Modern School, JPCN, SKVM International School, to name a few. And this is something that music is something which you need to experience in order to understand it. So we aim to provide a lot of exposure in terms of performance to students. So we have a festival called Bandit, which is a very beautiful inter-school band competition wherein a lot of schools they come and they perform, and then we have an annual concert called Cadence as well, in which a lot of our students they come and they perform so that we can provide them with the complete exposure of performing as well. And as you can see on the screen, we usually do a lot of events, a lot of workshops with some celebrity artists to make the whole learning experience very very rich. So that's what we do. We also have a partnership with Berkeley College of Music, which is the world biggest music college in this space. And if any students who want to pursue music professionally in India, we have a tie-up with NMIMS school as well, NMIMS college as well, wherein we have a school of performing arts, wherein if any students want to pursue any forms of bachelor degree in music or master's degree in music, they can also do that. So some of the initiatives which we have recently did is FSM Online, wherein we have engaged close to about 30,000 students online. We have been teaching all the instruments online, vocals, all the forms of arts like theaters as well, dance as well, and a lot of we are taking. So this is the end of my presentation, and in the end, I would like to invite all of you to our event on Sunday. We usually do a lot of events because, as I mentioned earlier, that music is something which you need to experience in order to believe. So I would request you to. I will definitely send an official invite to each one of you. You can ask your students to attend that event, and you can experience our music classes as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adnan, for suggesting us, how music can increase our efficiency. So with this, we come to the last part of the session, which is the question open house and the question answer. We have received a few questions, and I would request our speakers, if you can, help us. I'll present these questions to you. So first, we have also been joined by Nirmal Yadav ma'am. Nirmal ma'am, if you allow me, can I also present these questions to you?
I think I haven't been here for the full webinar.
So these questions are not for this webinar. These are the general questions, for
I think the speakers
about
would be no, the speakers would be the right people to answer.
Okay, but if we find something tough one, so we'll come to you. So you're the principal of principals, ma'am. So we'll come if we will find that kind of question. So we'll come to you. Right. So thank you all speakers for sharing your thoughts and ideas. So with this, I would request Neha ji, if I can present this question to you.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
So the first question, this has been asked by Miss Mugdha Chawla. She's a teacher with Bharati Public School, Delhi.
Mm-hmm.
So Mugdha ji has asked a more clearer clarification on how to implement such a policy. At such a massive scale is needed. What would be the key challenges in implementation? So I would request Neha ji, if you can suggest any three key challenges which you believe would come.
So the first one that comes to my mind right at the top is the sheer number of people that we're thinking of reaching out to, not only the students, but also the number of teachers and the vocational teachers and the support staff and the principals. And when I mention all of these names, I also talk about them being empowered and eligible and properly trained to deliver everything that we're talking about. So the sheer volume, the sheer magnitude of work in front of us is humongous. That's number one. Second, like Dr. Rishi definitely pointed out, was uh, the structural changes that we're thinking of making, especially at the class 9 to 12 level. So we're talking about doing away with the silos, taking away the streams. In a way, although it is very regressive, but in a way, they sort of provided a very clear cut decision in terms of where we wanted to go. Although the number of options and choices are opening up with doing away with all these silos, but how and what should be taken up, and what is the way forward in terms of the higher education and career paths that are needed to be defined for kids, is another one. Because this is where we'll need a very robust and strong structure of career counseling and career counselors at the school level, and also in open market, to be coming in to guide students along those routes, because it also opens channels to a lot of alternative careers as well. And the third one, which I'm rating it the third one, but in my understanding it is the most important one, is talking about the early childhood care and education. Standardizing it across the country, because there are a lot of movable parts here. We're talking about training people in the anganwadis. We're talking about regulating and standardizing systems across the country, wherein in the urban areas all the preschools were operating. So like in our school we follow a 2-year system. There are schools within our city that follow a 3-year system. There's a nursery and an LKG and a UKG, and in our school we have a nursery and a prep. So standardizing those things for children in a way that we're allowing for children to have a customized experiential learning experience, and also focusing on their brain and cognitive development and all other things that should happen by the time they come in for their class 1. So those challenges would be my top 3 list.
Right, right. So, thank you, Neha ji, for suggesting these challenges. In some other session, we'll come to you for the solutions. Next, I would request Dr. Rishi. Dr. Rishi, this is again a very regular question to us. So, what in your opinion, what would be the impact of this flexibility, of choosing subject which is being offered in this NEP at 11 at 11 standard students? So, what would be the impact in long term, and how it would impact the admission process in higher education? Dr. Rishi.
Yes, sir. Sir, in the long term, definitely we are expecting this to benefit the students at large, and they are having more choices and career choices also. They can have more choices. Like when we used to study, there were our parents used to cite very limited career choices to us. So in that way, in long run, definitely it will give a lot of choices to them, and it will be beneficial also for the overall development of the student. But in the short term, definitely first we need to keep the system in place, put the system in place, put the things in place till everybody is having that training and infrastructure is there. So initially it will not be that smooth ride. So but we hope that very soon we are able to have that trained teachers and staff and infrastructure is in place. After that only the students can reap the benefits.
Okay, right. Thank you. With this, Anand, I would request if you can take on this one. This policy focuses, it has given a very special focus to the vocational education, and also, the subjects which were so far being called or being termed as extracurricular activities, now they have been, they have been put into the mainstream. So, how do you see the evolution of art as a subject, and also the importance of this vocational education integration into our main education system? Adnan. Now you're not audible. You need to unmute yourself, Adnan.
In next 5 years, I think we can definitely expect to see a lot of poets, a lot of musicians and artists. I can definitely assure you that thanks to this policy, if students are exposed to all these vocational subjects on a day-to-day basis, then they will definitely follow alternate careers as well. Because as of now, I mean the all the most of the students, they want to become doctor, engineers, businessmen, marketers. But I think that with this upcoming policy, if students are exposed to the benefits of vocational subjects, then they will definitely pursue it further as well. And just to give you example, I mean, in our school also, the most of our music teachers, they are coming from different backgrounds. So some are engineers, summer definitely show that in next 5 years we can expect to see this sector boom, and we can expect to see a lot of students opt for alternate careers.
Right. Thank you, Adnan. Nehaji, I would request if we can, present this question to you. Right.
So I had a bit of a connectivity issue here. I'm sorry I missed the question. Can you please repeat it to me?
Yeah. This has been asked by Ms. Kanupriya, who's a special educator. Kanupriya has asked, if you can highlight those areas which has been, which have been mentioned in this NEP for children with special needs, and what would be the change environment for them? How we can how we can be ensure that environment would certainly change for them after the implementation of NEP. Children
Right.
for special needs.
Right.
Nehaji.
All right. I got it now. Uh, so first of all, I would want to state that national education policy or any such document lacks a legal sanction. So just come, it is just a recommendation coming from a panel of very highly educated and knowledgeable people. Yes, but implementing it to the letter is definitely a challenge because it involves a lot of movable parts in terms of what the political will is. And somewhere in the national education policy they also talk about taking away regulatory bodies and parents being the sole regulators. So that again is going to be a major challenge because parents come in with their all sorts of motivations. So having said that, in terms of special education, the first and foremost challenge is exactly what it is right now: finding and creating suitable infrastructures, having special educators who are equipped to cater to the number of children who are coming into the schools. And see, this is my wish that we did not have special schools and we could possibly have special wings in our so-called normal schools, wherein mainstreaming of special needs children is very important, because the sheer act of taking them away from a normal regular classroom is an act of segregation of these kids from the society at large. So the special educators need to be able to bridge that gap with probably a couple of or two three more special classes on the side. But the focus in my opinion should be on mainstreaming then, and as much as possible allowing as many kids as possible according to their whatever the disability is, uh, to for them to sit in a normal classroom and experience the interactions that go on, because that sorts of brings their motivation up. And that would, in my opinion, would be a truly collaborative system for education.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you have raised a very important point. Is this NEP is just a guiding document. It lacks that legal power. So with this,
Yes.
we come to the end. I just have one request, Nirmal ma'am. Neha ji have suggested that this NEP document lacks power, lacks that teeth. I would say punishing power. So how do you see that? Like how difficult it would be to get the final implementation done
See,
if it lacks that legal power?
see, legal power or no legal power, I feel that is not the point. It is the implementers. We as educationists, if we really believe in it, it is like your that business model. If we buy in, what you're saying, if that buy-in is there, there is no legality or sort of a strict or punitive measures involved. It has to come from within. And any organization or a system improves if the people within or those who are first hand dealing with it, if they agree with it. So we have to take all our educationists on board in this, be it the teachers, the higher education, the schools, because idealistically it is a very good instrument. But you see, we must not forget at the same time, India has got extremes, vertical and horizontal. We have different economic and educational strata people. Then there are that embedded caste systems or the rural, the urban, the mountain, the certain prejudices, certain biases against girl child or sending them to schools. Various factors come in every economic sector. So ideally, the NEP has been made with a very good intent and sincerity of purpose. Now, the implementation, how we do it, and we should not forget we are a country of numbers. Even if we achieve 60%, 70% success, it would be a great deal, big thing. So, in the beginning only, we should not discard anything that has come up. We'll try and make it work. If it doesn't, there is always scope for modification or improvement, whether it is localized or centrally. Fine. Anything else?
Thank you.
Right,
Thank you.
Raju? Thank you.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. This is the most important point that even if it is it is given that legal power, even then people would find the ways to fail the points if they don't want to implement. So Nirmal ma'am, this is absolutely right that we need to have that kind of motivation and that kind of passion to achieve those areas which or those suggestions. Big thanks, Nirmal ma'am, for sharing your idea. Right. So with this, we come to the end of this 63rd session, and I would request Neha ji, if we can have your concluding remark.
Uh, so it was a very enriching experience for me, especially with Nirmal ma'am being here. Listening to her, it's really insightful, and also Preeti ma'am and Anand sir as well. Uh, the the way he talked about music, though it's not specifically part of NEP, but just bringing in that angle, that how important it is for education to be supported, and talking about art and it being a mainstream career for people to come, for the generations to come. That is something that I'm taking home as a food for thought for myself. And overall, the criticism aspects that Dr. Rishi shared, that again is also something that I would be sitting down and thinking about more. That's it at my end. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Neha ji. This is so nice to see that the young people, the new age educated education leaders like you are coming into education. I also, watched your TED talk, which was recorded in 2018. Not fully, but certainly I'll get some time to watch that again. So I really appreciate for your joining, that you took
Thank
out
you.
some
Thank
time
you
and
so
joined us
much.
today. Your presence was truly special. So big thanks. We'll be in touch and we'll look forward for your more proactive association with us.
So do I,
Thank
sir.
you.
So do I. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. With this, now I would request Dr. Rishi, if you can have your concluding remark.
Yes, sir. So, like Nirmala ma'am has pointed out rightly, that the intent of the education policy, it has been made on a very positive intent, And we as educators, we sincerely hope that we are able to take the maximum benefit out of it. And like she rightly pointed out, even if it is a little bit improvement, it is a improvement in the right direction. So we can sincerely hope that in future things are going to improve, and our future generations, they will be going through a better education system. And this especially for school education, because the whole character of a person is made up in that schooling years. So we hope that we are able to overcome the challenges very soon, and we as a nation are able to get the maximum benefit out of this policy.
Thank you, Dr. Rishi. And certainly, we all can be assured if this policy, gets its implementation done with the right spirit. So all can be assured, for our future generations. So big thanks with this. We come to the end of this session. Big thanks to all of you for participating. Neha ji, Anil ji, Dr. Preeti Rishi, and Mr. Nan Khan. Thank you for joining. So this was for the day. We end the session here. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.